North Korean leader Kim Jong Un has arrived in Russia. Russian media is reporting his train has been spotted in Ussuriysk, just 100 kilometres from Vladivostok. He's expected to meet with President Vladimir Putin in the coming days. Well, earlier, North Korea's Workers' Daily website showed pictures of Kim boarding his train bound for Russia. American diplomats said last week that North Korea is ready to supply ammunition to Russia for use in Ukraine. Well, Kim Jong Un's journey began from the Russian border station of Kasan. It's 1,200 kilometres by rail to Vladivostok, where Putin is attending an economic forum. The entire trip takes around 20 hours. We've got correspondents covering both sides of this story. Shortly, we'll speak to Florence Looi, who's standing by with reaction from South Korea. But first, we're going to go to Yulia Shapovalova, who is in Moscow for us. And Yulia, what do we know about the North Korean leader's latest whereabouts?
So basically, according to Russian sources, Kim Jong Un's train has arrived in the city of Ussuriysk in Russia's Far East. It's some 100 kilometres from Vladivostok. At the moment, there is no information of where he's going to travel anywhere else or not, but we presume that he will. The North Korean leader is expected to meet with President Vladimir Putin, as you said, while the Russian president is visiting Russia's Far East himself, participating in the Eastern Economic Summit, which is taking place in Vladivostok right now. And there are no details, by the way, exactly where and when the meeting will be held. According to the Kremlin spokesperson, no press conferences are going to follow the talks between the Russian and North Korean leaders. Dmitry Peskov has confirmed, though, that there will be one-on-one communication, not just the talks between the delegations, and also an official dinner on behalf of Vladimir Putin in honor of Kim Jong Un has been scheduled as well. So the two presidents are expected to discuss arms supplies from North Korea to Russia for Russia's armed conflict in Ukraine, the move which has been condemned by the US. Plus, there is a possibility of Russia's withdrawal from the UN sanctions imposed on North Korea earlier. That issue is also expected to be discussed. But generally, very little information about the event itself due to some secrecy reasons.
What can we expect from President Putin?
Reasons, I should say.
Yulia, what can we expect from President Putin at the Eastern Economic Forum? I understand he has just been speaking.
Well, actually, we're waiting for him to answer, to tell us a little bit more about his potential meeting with President Kim. But at the moment, Vladimir Putin just finished his speech at the plenary session of the Economic Forum and is now answering questions. And during his speech, he addressed a lot of domestic issues mostly. He promised high-speed motorways. They would be built through Siberia and the Far East to the Pacific Ocean. Putin also basically told the government to prepare a plan for the development and modernization of aviation in the Far East by March 2024. Prior to the plenary session, Vladimir Putin spoke with the moderators of the summit sessions and, well, he said that Russia is working on weapons based on new physical principles, whatever it means, as they will ensure security in the future of the country. And he also said that Russia is interested in foreign specialists, including students, and he spoke about facilitating the procedure for them to obtain the Russian citizenship. And also the Russian Federation will not slow down the pace of development in the Far East, in the region.
OK, thank you so much for that. That is Yulia Shapovalova for us in Moscow. Well, we're going to go now to Florence Looi, who is monitoring developments for us from Seoul. And Florence, what more do we know about the meeting between Putin and Kim? Do we know exactly what they are going to discuss?
Well, a Kremlin spokesman has said that the meeting is mostly going to be about bilateral relations. And we know that these two countries have said they want closer ties. Now, but an analysis of photographs published by North Korean state media suggests that defense topics are going to feature very heavily in this meeting between Kim and Putin. Now, looking at the photos, we know that Kim Jong Un is accompanied by the top military official, that's Ri Pyong-chol. He oversees defense matters, including North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. But it's also the lower-ranking officials that really give us a clue that defense and possibly an arms deal is going to feature very heavily in this meeting. Now, one of them is the director of munitions, so that's the department that produces conventional artillery. These are the weapons that Russia will be looking for to support its war in Ukraine. Now, and then there's also the naval commander. Russia has said that the two sides are discussing the possibility of holding joint military drills. And there's also the party secretary. He's in charge of North Korea's Space, Science and Technology Committee. So that's set up for launching spy satellites. So that really gives us a clue that defense and possibly an arms deal is going to be one of the main topics of discussion. And an arms deal is really what US officials have warned that North Korea and Russia will be trying to set up.
And Florence, of course, we've heard an arms deal would be a huge concern to many in the international community.
Absolutely, because an arms deal by North Korea would be in contravention of UN Security Council resolutions. North Korea is banned from importing and exporting weapons, and also it's restricted from certain scientific and tech cooperation. Now, it would also help Russia in its war on Ukraine. But also, what's worrying countries in this region and also in the wider world is what North Korea could possibly be getting in exchange for selling weapons to Russia. It could be getting technology that could help it advance its nuclear weapons program. It could be getting satellite technology. It's tried twice and failed to launch a spy satellite into orbit. North Korea could also be trying to get technology that would help it build nuclear-powered submarines. Kim Jong Un has said he wants to advance the country's naval forces, and that's why we've heard South Korean president say recently that he would like China to play a stronger role as a permanent member of the UN Security Council in curbing the nuclear threat from North Korea. And that's why we've also heard from US officials renewing their warnings to North Korea about selling arms to Russia, and also warning North Korea that it wouldn't hesitate to impose new sanctions.
OK, thank you so much. That is Florence Looi for us, who's monitoring developments in Seoul.